Rock and roll, man. And so, this venture continues with a hope that I can help fellow creatives navigate the sometimes choppy and untamed waters of the tweets machine. My name is Lee Hall, and I'm an indie author from the UK. I'd like to thank you for joining me and also welcome you to this space for what is Twitter Coaching Sessions number 5. Leading on from realizing the potential of Twitter, and with regard to everything we have covered so far in these sessions, there is a major factor that defines my success every day on Twitter and as an author online. And for this session, I'm going to talk in depth about the glue that holds it all together. Of course, I'm talking about trust. I'll do my best to keep this session concise, but there is a lot of inputs here, and there are lots of ways in which I earned and continue to earn the trust of my Twitter following. Now, everyone knows that earning trust takes time, and in most walks of life, that is apparent. But for those who take the time, and more importantly, those who really want this, will get results by earning trust. There are no hacks or quick fixes to earn the trust of people, and every day I work on galvanizing my trust with existing followers, and of course, new followers coming in all the time. Consider trust to be like a flower or a houseplant. In order for it to survive, you need to water it regularly. And so the same goes for trust. In order to earn and keep it, your following needs to be reminded that you are trustworthy. But first, let us focus on the concept of trust first. And why do you need to earn trust? Well, for those looking to grow a little more or sell something online, the magic word to doing so is earning the trust of your consumers. If you were to look in your bathroom cabinet or on your bathroom shelf, you'll probably find a range of products that you use daily. Let's take your toothpaste, for example. The brand you might have always used. Why? Because you trust it to do the job, it's probably affordable, and you know it does the job well. And the same concept goes for social media and Twitter presence. Brand loyalty are two words that come to mind here, and brand loyalty is a form of trust. And so just like the stuff you buy regularly, you can achieve brand loyalty on Twitter as well. Now, I have always focused on selling myself as a brand, long before my books or blog or anything else. So that means that I am the brand. In fact, I would say I care more about people liking me than my work. I mean, that might just be me being incredibly self-absorbed and self-centered, but I like having interactions with people online. I like having friendly conversations that sometimes don't even lead to anything more than that. That's pleasant. That's a good way to spend my day. And most of you know that just turning up on social media and saying you have a book doesn't sell books. And so using everything we have covered so far, and over time, your presence will eventually help you work towards brand loyalty and earning the trust of your followers. And of course, those in the same community as you. Personal connections will help with this massively. Every good or positive interaction works towards convincing others to trust you. And being a supporter of your community and various other communities around will create those connections to eventually earn trust. There is lots of stuff that I do on the surface and in the moment that doesn't get much real-time attention, but it helps the bigger picture. It goes deeper and serves more of a purpose on the grander eventual scale of things. Just imagine that every good personal connection is a single seed being planted. Over time, that seed will grow into something bigger. Eventually you have a garden, then you'll have a field, then you'll have a forest. I do love an analogy. For those who are authors like me, back when I started reviewing indie books in 2018, I did this because I knew how hard it was for indies, and in fact all authors, to find reviews. I kind of considered it as a little bit of a gap I was trying to help fill. Plus, I needed to put myself back together after kind of being burned out with publishing. So reading became my vessel for that. And this decision became a huge investment in what I call the bank of earning trust. And over some years of reviewing indie books, I've developed an image of trust to a lot of people. Now, I don't go dissecting every single book. I don't go being a real heavy book critic, nor do I just give empty praise. I do my best to somewhere meet in the middle of that by being supportive in my reviews, being constructive where necessary. I mean, of course, I only really pick books that I can guess that I'm going to like from the blurb, the cover, the title, some of the reviews maybe, and for whatever the author has pitched about that book. I try to gauge it from there, and most of the time I will like the book, even if there might be some criticisms. I try to do them as gently and as supportively as possible. And plus, reading, it's kind of why I do this. You know, I enjoy reading. I enjoyed reading so much I became a writer. Now, many of these reviews that I share across social media and my blog go relatively unnoticed in the day-to-day and to the masses. but on the individual level, they help build a bridge to the author I have reviewed, and then perhaps only a handful of people will see that. Then that handful of people has potential whose trust I can eventually earn as well. Those reviews are tangible proof out there on the internet that I am trustworthy and genuine, something considered refreshing in the world of media these days. And reviewing books is something that kind of has unlimited resource because there will always be new books, and I'm always going to be reading. So if you can find a subject that has unlimited resource, or at least something that is good in supply, then you can use it as a vessel to earn trust on Twitter. Now, I mean, it's easy for me to say, just go and review a bunch of books. It's not that simple, although what you will be doing is brilliant. You know, it will help you no end if you go and review loads of books. It's all the other things too. It's having good interactions. And above all, people remember good interactions, and social media can be viewed in a certain negative light sometimes. So positive support in all forms, including just an engagement, is well received and stands out. Now, I don't support others just to get sales or follows. I do it because I know what it's like to struggle on this creative path. And if I see others succeeding, then I know succeeding myself is possible. That's another reason why I share my results, good or bad. It gives someone perspective, as well as proving that you're struggling or you're succeeding and there's proof of it. Above everything, it proves you are human. You are human, right? Of course you are. You might be a robot. Over time, that trust you build with your followers will beat anything else, and even the algorithms on Twitter. And I call this concept the algorithm of trust because you can build your own algorithm and it can be stronger than any line of code, any computer, any billionaire decides to put some extra code in to make it easier or harder. You can beat that. So what exactly does that mean? What is an algorithm of trust? Now, you don't just have to support others constantly to earn trust. You can earn trust by being present and conversational. Let us imagine your Twitter presence is a small campfire. Now, I've used this analogy before, but it works quite well to describe how trust is important, along with conversation on Twitter. So you set up that small campfire on the edge of some woods. It's in a nice spot, it's adjacent to a path, and then leading beyond that path is a very busy path. A busy road, you could say, where people come past all the time, cycling, jogging, walking, driving. Now, you begin to talk to yourself while that small fire crackles away. There's a little warmth, but other than the low hum of your quiet voice, pretty desolate. So you decide to keep talking. You talk a little louder, and it might feel like you're talking to yourself, but that busy path is ever so near. And a little time passes, and someone along that wider path hears you talking. And it was a brief but pleasant exchange. The passerby then decides to come off that path, and they move onto the path adjacent to that campfire of yours, and they come and say hello. You talk to this person as they've replied to you, and sit at your campfire, and they become a follower for it. You now tweet more about the subject you've exchanged engagement with to attract that person off the path. You also directly talk to them by following them back. Now, other passers-by begin to hear this follower talking to you, and at some point, they will at very least stroll past out of curiosity. This one follower has sat at a few campfires before, and those who he sat with can see the engagement you're having. You keep talking and exchange engagements. Some of these now mutual followers have walked by and have decided to sit at your campfire. You talk to them also. And these people bring their own logs, and the fire grows, and your fire grows in brightness and warmth. Now more people who have been to other campfires see your campfire as a two-way conversation and come to sit by. And the subjects you talk about are interesting and engaging. You're learning as more people are sitting by your campfire, and you learn what they like to talk about. So even more passers-by join the congregating people already by your now roaring fire. You're going to need more seating soon, and someone soon enough will probably start playing a guitar, but you keep talking because these passers-by have become important connections. They've invested in you and trust you because your word is good and honest, and there's space by your fire to talk. And this started literally with you just talking to a campfire, tweeting into the void. Now, how do you know what to talk about every day? Well, you get better at this the more you do it. Now, some of these passers-by now want more from you, and while you can't be on Twitter all the time, you do have a product or a book available or a service that they know will be trustworthy, or at least will provide something more from you, which will make them feel good, because conversation feels good, and earning trust and trusting someone feels good too. And these good feelings might entice someone to look further into you and see that you have something available that they would like to invest in. Now, you share with these fellow campfire members how you got to this point, and they eventually take on some of what you've learned and in their spare time, they go and start their own campfires, and the cycle continues. I do hope you liked that little campfire analogy story. Now, that is taken from a blog post called The Campfire Analogy. You can check that out on my blog. I'll leave a link below. And of course, conversation will lead you to more followers and more interactions on this platform, amongst so many other things. And now, eventually, there will come a time when you need to consider your safety on Twitter and wider social media. And that is indeed another subject for another time. I'd like to thank you for joining me in what was quite a detailed session, but as always, I hope it has been of help to you. I was quite unsure whether or not I tweeted too much, not enough, to get the information about these sessions out there, and I am glad that you guys have found this. If it is of use to you, please tell others. The more the merrier. And join me next time as I talk about staying safe on Twitter. Peace out. Rock and roll, man.